Welcome everyone, welcome. Today's quite a little different. I changed the space a little bit because I felt, sitting in the couch and just talking to the camera, I just felt like I'm not connecting enough with what I'm sharing with you. And I wanted to do like something completely different. I have to admit that this is inspired by someone that I recently came across on YouTube. And I like the visuals, so sitting in the couch just wasn't feeling. I wasn't feeling that it wasn't right. So I wanted to change it a little bit, but also I wanted to have a cup of tea with you. And really, as we marching towards the end of the year, I want to do very open conversation with you, what I've learned from this year and how I want to implement it in this following year, 2025. And this is the title of the video, how to reinvent your life. So we're going to focus on 7 steps that I found that if you do, no matter where you are at the point of your life, it's going to dramatically help you to really, change yourself for better. Not necessarily like you will reach millions of views, millions of dollars in your bank account or anything like that, but simple steps that I think are usually very not seen in the spectrum of how much you can really do within the year. So we're gonna focus on that, but before let me make you a cup of tea. So this is Chen Pi Shou Mei, which is a yellow tea from China, which usually is compressed with citrus peels together in these forms of little squares. You can smell it. It smells really citrusy. You can see these are the little squares. I already have a little bit in the pot. I made some tea before, but we can put a little more. It's okay. So let me put this off. Great. So I already prepared the water. And it's good to let it simmer for at least 3 minutes before it starts to do its magic, right? So I think let's cover the first point of what I want to share with you in today's video. So I don't forget about anything here. So the first part is get in the best shape possible. And of course, this is not something new or I came up with, of course not. But I found it that it's a fundamental part to all the steps that I'm going to share with you, because if you're not in the best physical shape, no matter what tasks, quests, hardships, difficulties you're going to face, it's better to face it with the best shape possible of yourself, right? And the mantra of it is that it teaches you discipline. And if you're struggling with discipline and if you have problems with getting things done, discipline is something that takes you from point A to point Z at any point. But I want to get a little biblical as well about this. So Corinthians chapter 6, 19 to 20. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom have you received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. Or Proverbs chapter 25, 28. Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Right? And so in both of these, you can say that the Bible calls our bodies, our literally bodies, as temples of God, something that was created for us. And if we're not nourishing it with the right food, the right exercise, overall, if you just don't treat it with the vigorous stewardship and act of righteousness, it's gonna come at a cost at some point. And right, I shared this in my previous videos, something that I'm experiencing a little bit. So let this discipline in caring for your physical body builds a foundation for your self-control and be able to get in the best shape possible so you can conquer the next year, 2025. All right, but I think our tea is getting ready. It's beautiful, beautiful. I don't know if you can see it. Has a very, specific color. It's not fully white. I would say like it's very orangey, yellowish, which is typical. Where to put this? But I think in terms of how long you let it sit there, it gives you stronger or milder taste. Yeah, definitely. I think this is a little more citrusy side, so I think it was more than 30 minutes, but it tastes really delicious. So that leads me to part number 2, which I also been struggling throughout the year, but recently during the holidays I had a time to really go for like long walks, and I cannot emphasize enough how rewarding and how comfortable and how rewarding it felt to give your body and your mind especially the time to really slow down and just focus on the present moment. And that brings me to the part number 2. The step 2 is take daily walks. And let me tell you that walks are like active meditation for your body, but also for your mind, and especially for your mind when you really struggle with something at work, or you facing something difficult that you might have to overcome, or whatever that might be. I found that walks really help you to slow down in the chaotic world and really take care of your mind. And what I found preparing for this was these 2 parts in the Bible. In Genesis chapter 5:24, Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. And so what I wrote as a note is that walking is often symbolic of a close relationship with God. Like you can really reconnect for someone who struggles with like sitting down sometimes and reading the Bible, connecting with God through prayers. You need to sometimes change the environment or figure out like what works better for me in this instance, right? And the walks really can become spiritual practices in many ways, providing you a moment to connect with God through prayers and reflection. Because I noticed that when I go for walks, I like to talk to myself. Hopefully nobody consider me crazy, but I found it more connecting than sometimes, than sitting at home or in meditation posture and then connecting. But another one, Psalms 23:3, He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. So literally and figuratively, the walks can really be the center of you really connecting with God. Like taking every day 30 minutes of your time, like getting up a little earlier and go for the walk and really connect with God. Like, what is my purpose for this day? What do I need to do? What do I need to conquer? And then you can also ask Him for the strength or whatever you need for that day. So I found that really beautiful and something that I definitely want to do in the next year more. Part 3 is something that I've struggled with this year, and it's something that I definitely really wanted to overcome, and that has been the biggest challenge, I think, of this year, 100%. And I think it's going to be still a challenge that I wish and hope and really looking forward to overcome in this year. And that is get rid of bad addictions. Seriously, like eliminating harmful habits creates a space for good habits, for healthy habits that keep you on track and keep you progressing towards your goals. Whatever you pursue, right? So let's get biblical again. In the first book, Corinthians, chapter 10, 13. No temptations has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. And this is something that I also have to remind myself a few times, that it's okay to ask God for help and not have everything done by yourself. Sometimes you really need Him. Sometimes you really, really need Him. And you might not hear His answers, but you stick with Him. He will help you endure it and overcome it. He will not let you be deceived in such a manner. Just ask for it and you will receive it. Ephesians chapter 4, 22 to 20. Chapter 4, 22 to 24. You were taught, with regard to your former way of life, to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God, in true righteousness and low holiness. And this is like, again, it involves letting go of harmful things that no longer serve you, and to fully submerge yourself into the hands of His righteousness, and to heal you and to save you from bad, sinful desires that truly harm your life, that you no longer want to have. And this leads me to part number 4, and something that to do if you want to improve your life in 2025 is to focus on progression, not perfection. And again, this is like so common, not just for myself, but for many of us, right? Like we struggle with perfection. Like we want everything to go perfect. Even our journey needs to be perfect. This week, I'm going to do the best work of my life, and I'm going to overcome it the next week, and the week after. Like everything needs to be perfect, right? But that's not what's going to keep you on the journey to really take yourself on complete ride and change for your life, right? As I mentioned in previous my videos, growth is in the small steps. It's the small actions that you do each day that counts and build over time. So embracing imperfection is a key to stay not only motivated, but also to really see like what progress have you made. And so in Philippians chapter 1, 6, being confident of this, that He who began a good work in you will carry it on the completion until the day of Jesus Christ. And so God tells you He's patient with our progress. He's patient. He can wait. So can you. And book 2 Corinthians chapter 12, 9. But He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And I want to tell you, embrace the imperfections. Like it's the most fundamental part of your growth, because not only you're able to see where you like stagging, where you lacking, but how you can also overcome it. Because something that I will want to focus on in maybe part of this is how to focus on wealth and building wealth, and like not be afraid of money and actually not feel bad that you want more, but for what cause, right? So that's something that I will want to focus on. We won't get into the details, but that's an imperfection, right? Like you are afraid of money. Your scarcity mindset about money, that you're gonna make it and you're never gonna have enough, is something of a topic that I wanna get into because it's close to me as well. But the imperfection is that I wanna do something that I've been doing for a long time, and I wanna take that and do it for me, not for someone else. And so that always, when I start working on it in the morning for like an hour, to progress, I remind myself, well, I could go more, but like now I have to do this, right? Like the imperfection is always there, and you're gonna always want to do perfect, like perfect title, perfect everything. But the imperfection and learning from it is much more valuable than you think. So I need to get a sip. We're gonna get on to the part 5, which I also think is very interesting. And before you jump into the 2025, I think, and something I haven't done much in the past years, was to really reflect on this following year, 2024, because many times we really just go full blast and just progress, and we're not able to like slow down and really sit down for a few days and really think about like, what have I done with my life? How can I really view the lessons and gain wisdom overall? Is that so? Reflect on your year, this current year, and what you've improved, and also what mistakes have you made, and just really become vulnerable with the reflection. And something that I really try to write down in the past week. I've been sitting down like pretty much every day to get bits of my year and learning from the past and shape the future in a way that it is truly meaningful for you, right? Like, if you keep pushing something that doesn't work, like how do you want to progress? It's sometimes we, it's in the Bible, not sure exactly, but cut your leg if it holds you, cut your right arm. In some ways, it's really like, I'm not going to follow this path because it's just really hurting me and I can't do it anymore. It's okay to, right, take it off and cut it off and cast it from you, and move in life that it's good. So in the Bible, reflecting on your year is Psalms 19:12. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom, right? And it's like, it reminds us on the life's brevity and motivates us to live wisely, but also consciously more in the present moment. Or, and this one is hard, is that let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord. And it's exactly like that. Bible encourages you to self-reflect as a way to grow closer to God, because also He can give you wisdom, He can give you the strength, and He can keep you moving. So definitely take this time before the year ends and really like do the diligence and reflect on your year. I think I'm almost finished, and so far I've learned quite new things about me and what I've done and how I perceived everything in much better way. So I definitely encourage you to do the same. And this leads me to our almost the last one, part 6, and that is seek like-minded people, right? And right, your environments shape you. The people that you surround yourself with truly change your life, and you will be changing yourself towards that, right? Like supporting yourself and surrounding yourself with the right people. It's truly, it can fuel the progress much faster than slower. But Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another, right? And so the Bible emphasizes that the importance of surrounding ourselves with the right people will determine also our future and how we grow and how we do things, right? And encourage us to grow. That it is in the Bible, it's like one of the most coolest things literally ever, because there it is, right? Like you sometimes wonder why you are stuck in this place, but then you look around and you see the people around you, and everything changes, because for a long period of time I really would not surround myself with the people that would support each other to grow in the vision of yourself and what you want for yourself. And that's also here in the Hebrews chapter 10, 24-25. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching, right? Community is essential, and especially you see that in the world today. It's like we truly destroyed communities, and I think that's why we also feel lonely, and there's a lot of depression in the world, especially on the men's side, that it's crucial, because community holds you to be also accountable, be responsible for others in some ways, like, hey, let's get it together and help grandma or Auntie Dina across the street to clear the roof and get rid of all the leaves and whatever that might be. Like, it really is essential to build a community, and that's something that I definitely want to improve in this year. So, because for a long time was a very introverted person, and believe it or not, I have been growing more towards like something that's not extroverted to its extreme, but something between, I would say, because it's good to be a little introverted because you need time to reflect and stop. But it's also good to really be extroverted a little bit. So mix of both, absolutely best. And so the last point, and what I want to take, not for granted, is time is now. There's no better time than now. And that's something that I have to remind myself sometimes quite a bit. But I think I became very good about this. But 2024, 2023, the years before, imagine yourself, where would you be? Where would you be? So when I go back 2 years ago, I'm like, what was I even doing? Like, literally, if I just go back and spend a few moments with myself and reflect, like, holy hell, this is where I was. Absolutely crazy. Where I am today is a place that took a root 2 years ago. That's just the definition of that. But where I wanted to be in 10 years, it's a complete definition of what you do now. So don't waste a single second and do it now, right? especially Ephesians chapter 5, 15, 16. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise but as wise. Rewind back. No. I hope your year 2024 will serve as a starting point. No matter where you are in your life, all these parts that I've shared with you, I think have something in common and connect nicely together, right? If you want to get best shape possible, don't focus on the perfection but progression, because it's gonna build over time. If you have a absolute smallest biceps, it's gonna take time to get to your desired size. If you are a very introverted person and not in the best shape and you have bad habits, create habits that you see that the like-minded people that you want to be surrounded with are having. See, like everything as you mix it plays well together, and that's what I want from you. I want you to do it now. Make a plan. Look at your year 2024, what you did right, what you did wrong, what you can improve, and set up goals and start working on them. And don't forget, do it now. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.